I'm Sean Arnold from Brave in the Attempt, sharing a previously recorded webinar. We'll be covering game-based options that can be used for remote learning. Hello, good morning. I'm joining you from inside The Simpsons today. We're going to keep our questions, though, heavily today towards game-based learning. Welcome. I did share this in the chat, but that bit.ly link at the bottom right now, if for some reason I'm boring to you, that's fine. I don't take it personally. These are strange and unusual times. But that link at the bottom will actually take you to a digital escape room I created that gives you a little history of educational gaming. It actually is a escape 80s digital tools games. So if you're a fan of, anybody know this game? Shout it in the chat. Yeah, okay. War games, good job. War games is where the phrase comes from. The picture, though, I don't see anything from that yet. Little old school. Oh, no, there you go. Good job, Kristen. Carmen Sandiego. Where in the world is? All right. Here's my information. I'm Sean Arnold. I work in the District 75 STEM department. I am a special educator and STEM coach. I actually started out as a music teacher in District 75 some 15-ish years ago. But since then, I've learned how much technology can empower, especially students with disabilities. And I've done everything that I could to start, I've begun to try to share that more with other teachers. Even though this isn't innately my nature, I'm not trying to stand on some platform, but I do want to share what I've got if it's going to help any of you at all, the power of game-based learning. So we're going to get into a little of the behind the scenes first. This is probably the most important thing I'm going to show all day. I did link it in the chat. And let's forge ahead. If you can in the chat, go ahead and let me know what things you're excited about. I'll tell you some of the cool things we've been doing in District 75 over these past so many years. For me, we've been doing a lot of stuff. We have BrainPOP subscriptions. I did have a BrainPOP training on another day. You guys, even if you're not District 75, can go ahead and get free access to that, to individual accounts. Make sure, I linked it in the agenda, make sure you choose the one that's for like school level accounts if you want access to all the cool things. I had a Minecraft education training. I'm not going to be spending a ton of time on that today. It is its whole own beast, but it is awesome and does allow for remote joining of worlds and things like that. Cool. Yeah, just any fun thing you can find for students to do. If you're not familiar with Breakout EDU, yes, it is a physical escape room in a box you can bring into your classroom, but they have a digital platform that you can do with students online as well. Although you can make your own using Google Sites and Google Forms, like the one that I linked you to earlier in that game. And then we also have a platform called 3D World, which is essentially teaching high school students world skills, basically how to interview for a job, how to meet and hold a job, how to navigate the city and the subway system, and all sorts of other things, how to care for your own apartment, especially for high school students with moderate to severe disabilities who are trying to learn to live independently. It's a pretty cool program headed up by the amazing Kara Kofina. Some of the cool work we're doing. But this is the idea behind all of it. This Seymour Papert, this idea that playful learning isn't easy learning. It isn't trying to make things easy. It isn't trying to dumb things down. It isn't trying to placate to the needs of students. It is taking and meeting that need of intrinsic motivation. It's not easy. Actually, half of the regular school stuff is easy. If you're just giving me a worksheet filled with multiplication problems, I can just ask Siri for the answers at this point. I don't need, your help necessarily with that. I don't need you to tell me just factual-based information of how far away the Earth is from the sun, 93 million miles. Google it, right? Watch a YouTube video to learn how to play the guitar and all sorts of other things. But here are all the awesome things that game-based learning can bring. I'm not going to read through this list. I'm not one to read lists, but you have access to this and can see it. I do want to bring attention to a couple of these things over on the side. There are a couple of games, and these, yes, are tablet-based, phone-based games generally. So I'm not going to spend tons of time on them today. I want to focus on things that you guys can use and are integrated really, really well with things like Google Classroom right now. But Project Evo is a game specifically created for students with ADHD. for the treatment of students with ADHD. No studies show that playing video games gives you ADHD. In fact, just the alternative, a lot of different types of video games have been shown, and I've linked to the research if you want to dig deep into that. It's all there in the agenda. I'm not going to bore you with those details, but if your administrator is like, why are you just playing games with kids? Well, look at the research, and it actually enhances learning far more, even especially for students with problems. This is Sea Hero Quest, and it's actually now FDA certified, I believe, within the last 4 months for the treatment of people with Alzheimer's and dementia. And yes, you can go and download it and play the game and agree whether or not you want to share your data with them or not. But it is amazing the way that these platforms are able to meet these needs. Here are the two big ones I want to bring to your attention, though. Yes, I have this Minecraft-looking version here, but in general, all games help take us away from what is this extrinsic outside stuff motivation to intrinsic internal motivations. Yes, we can move from here's just a grade, which only incentivizes the kids who are already at the top. Here's some cool stickers. Okay, and feel free to give your kids digital stickers if you want info for that. I'll send you stuff like that. Cool, that's fine. Or Skittles or whatever you want to give out. But we need to ultimately move towards more intrinsic motivations. As teachers, we want this. We have what makes us good teachers as opposed to just show up for work teachers is that intrinsic motivation, the need to connect with our students, to connect with our fellow teachers, to, that one kid who was struggling with reading, who wasn't speaking the other day and is now expressing themselves. Those are those intrinsic motivations that keep us going. And it's the same for the kids. All studies will show you that, yes, external stuff might help with the productivity in the short term only. But this type of stuff, this internal stuff, helps with productivity both in the short and long term. And it also doesn't have the side benefit that external stuff basically kills creativity immediately. You're just doing it for the paycheck. You're just doing it for the grade. You're just doing it because you were told to, as opposed to I'm doing it because I care about it. It's the same reason that most people's New Year's resolutions never seem to work, right? And this is the other big piece of why games are super awesome for learning, is because it turns all those moments of game over, those I give up moments by students, into I'm going to try again with what I learned from my experience. That Super Mario that fell down that hill 10, 15 times, I'm going to try that 16th time. I'm going to jump half a second later, not because I'm a glutton for punishment, but because I am incentivized to take what I learned from previous experience and put it into practice to make me better for the future. That's literally what learning is supposed to be anyway. Yes, we may not give it all its fair due if what the kid is learning is simply how to be better at Minecraft, but it does deserve its due as part of the learning process. So here we go. Here's a big one. I'm just going to zip through this really, really quickly. It does dig into those 21st century skills. If you're not familiar with what those are, these 7 C's that all kids are going to need, regardless of whether they're going to be in an assisted living center, working at McDonald's, or working high up at Google. They need to learn how to work with other people and collaborate and communicate. And you'll note that one of these C's is not content. Not that there's not value in that, but that these proceed and content needs to be integrated into all these things anyway. All right. So a little history, game-based learning. I don't know if you guys are quite as old as I am. I lived deeply in this world of 80s gaming. Some are better than others. Carmen Sandiego was amazing and still remains so in certain ways. You can actually play Carmen Sandiego in Google Earth still. Civilization is a game where we learn about world cultures, but through play in an amazing way. I've used Spore with students to learn about scientific changes, beginning and origins of species. We've done Minecraft with students, and even now we're using stuff with VR and AR. We're not going to be digging into that today because, again, that's not a thing. But we can all go back to the deep, deep beginnings of Oregon Trail. There's even an Oregon Trail version that exists now in Minecraft Education Edition, too. Anybody ever played Oregon Trail? Enjoy that. I also have linked in there, this is an important thing to keep in mind when you're playing with your students. What kind of gamer are they? which essentially is what kind of student are they? What incentivizes them? Are they incentivized by social things? This is all taps into deep psychological things, Myers-Briggs scales, Keirsey temperaments, etc. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I did actually put a little quiz in there, semi-professionally, that you can take and figure out what kind of gamer you are. But keep in mind what kind of students or what kind of games are going to motivate them most. And also keep in mind what is the chocolate-covered broccoli paradox. Now, I'm going to take you away from things that cost any money for you. We're not going to focus on those today. I'm going to take you away from things from overcomplicated because I just have a short window of time. There's tons of extra stuff you can dig into that's in the agenda, but I want to focus on those games that are not chocolate-covered broccoli. And what I mean by that is maybe you like broccoli. Think about school lunch broccoli, all right? The kind of mushy kind. So what that is games that are simply glossed over. Anybody play Math Blasters back in the day? I did. That was basically flashcards with flashy lights. And yes, there are kids who are deeply into shooters and other kinds of games. But I will tell you, yes, my own sons like a Roblox and a shooter situation in those if they're in their own recreational time. But they're super happy to do other totally, honestly, nerdy educational games that they don't recognize. Games even like Dragon Box, which is awesome for math. So that's the difference. Math Blasters, still maybe better than regular flashcards, but not by much. Those sort of games that are toll booth games, you know, do a bunch of learning, then just play meaninglessly for a little bit. No, we want the intrinsically motivating. So here's some desktop ones I want to highlight. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on these because we want to focus heavily on web ones. But the Minecraft Education Edition, there's certain sessions that I've already done. You can look at some of the recordings that are linked in the agenda. Those allow for students to dig deep. That Dragon Cancer literally digs into a person's battle cancer. Walden is sort of the anti-game in so many ways because the things you need to succeed in Walden are not the things you traditionally need to succeed in a regular game. But it is worth looking to out of these. I would guide you towards Minecraft Education Edition and some of the other sessions we've done on that. Tablet games, there are a lot of really cool ones too. For early learners, things like Scribblenauts and Tiny Bop and Dragon Box actually even has an algebra version. That was the first version that came out. I'll tell you, Dragon Box is a game that you play because it's fun and it's weird and you can learn about basic numeracy all the way to high level algebra. You don't recognize it as this monster is eating things up. It is teaching you about algebraic equations, that, oh, you're suddenly balancing equations, that you're suddenly popping bubbles that will later become the parentheses that you need to take things out of, right?
Can I jump in there real quick,
Yeah,
Sean?
go ahead, Greg. Greg is our math.
Yeah, Dragon Box. I love Dragon Box. I got it when it first came out. It's an amazing app that, as Sean said, you don't really realize you're doing algebra, and teachers actually get more frustrated with it than students. Students actually get really well, but I actually know some of my colleagues that are like, this isn't math, and it really is, and it's a beautiful, beautiful game if you get a chance to play it.
It's the kind of game like Minecraft, like Civilization, that wasn't always... Well, it was made for initially education, but where students are just playing to play because they enjoy it and don't recognize that all the learning is coming in. My own children have learned way more from playing Civilization with me about world cultures, and they bring up stuff about Genghis Khan and all these historical artifacts and things that happened in ancient Babylon. They've learned it way more from that than they ever did from any book I've tried to share with them or things I've tried to teach them directly. That's stuff they remember. Another one here is Osmo. Yes, it is a manipulative sort of system, but it does even have a new app, Osmo Projector, a free app. If you already got the tools, if your students don't have it, you know, it's a whole other thing. But it does allow you to show and share your screen and show paper that I'm working on and even have face-to-face interactions with teachers. So it is something for you to consider right now. But here's where we're going to focus mostly today. In the world of web games, and then I'll get into a little gamifying your classroom. So in the world of web games, these are a few highlights I want to. Probably most people are familiar with Prodigy. So I'm likely not spending too much time on that, but it is a really nice math-based online game that it seems a little like what was I trying to say? It's just an adventure game where students go through and battle monsters and do math skills, and you can grade it for each levels. Dragon Box, like I said, it goes from, there's a Dragon Box numbers for basic numeracy skills, Dragon Box big numbers for more addition, subtraction kind of stuff, and then there's algebra level ones. Yes, the original ones are all iPad based, but I did share a link in the agenda where you can go in, and the apps are a little expensive, but you can go in and get them for free if you show and prove that you're a teacher, and they're even downloadable for desktop versions through that as well. So cool. Mission US, created by PBS, a whole series of history games. They're sort of kind of a choose your own adventure style. I'm going to open one of those up and show you. And then there's Legends of Learning and iCivics, which iCivics focuses obviously on civics, social studies things. Legends of Learning is math and science. And of course, I'm not going to spend tons of time in it, but BrainPOP is an amazing space for just curated web games. Yes, there are their games that go across every topic, but they have a ton of linked games from other sources that they will let you know are awesome too. With my Google, and you can see it is synced with Google and with Google Classroom, and you can synchronize all your classes completely. So if you are one of those people using Google as your hub for student learning, yes, this does that. Cool. So if I go over to my iCivics, I can go ahead and look through my various classes, boom, and sync with other Google Classroom classes and pull in student information, and any work and games that they're playing here, I'm getting that data. It is sharing it out with me. I'm just going to go ahead and play one now, take off my headphones, and give you an example of what the games look like. They go across a broad range of topics. You might think branches of power, or let me show, there's one coming up. Win the White House might be particularly pertinent at the moment. I'm going to scroll down one. Not all of these games are flash-based. In fact, most of them are not. But the one I want to play now, just because it works fairly quickly for you to get a handle on what it looks like, is Do I Have a Right? You will say, oh, never mind. I didn't even ask. So maybe they fixed that one. It is even flash-based. These are also available on as apps on a tablet as well, or phone, as you see here on the Jordan App Store. Let me turn up my volume a little bit as we start. This game is called Do I Have a Right? And if you're familiar with those style of cooking, making pizza-ish kind of games that you'll find on the web, this is kind of in that vein. Except what it's asking us is, we are an attorney, our clients are coming in and asking if we have a right, and we're just going to do the Bill of Rights edition really quickly, but you can do the full edition for all rights. You know, I can go ahead, and this is cool and important for students to be able to personalize it for themselves, but for the sake of time, we're just going to jump ahead. I'm going to type my name, but if your student is logged in with their Google account, it'll automatically link this work that they're doing to their stuff. All right.
Sean,
cool.
I was obsessed.
What do we want to focus on? First Amendment, Fourth Amendment. Anybody have opinions? Go ahead and type it in the chat. I'm leaning towards first. What do you think?
Sean, I was obsessed with this game at its first iteration. It looks so more advanced now.
Yep. Actually, let me even play this full screen. I apologize for that. Do you see it now? Yes, you do.
Yeah, and they've updated their graphics too.
All right. So there it is. Let's open up my chat so I can see you guys on that too. All right. So yes, I think we do have a right for that. Yeah, I think we have the skills to help with that. I have learned this yet because we do have this one lawyer who specializes in that freedom of speech. I've only learned this one skill. We're going to match them up. Let's talk to this other person while my client's here and they're trying to figure it out. Military and wants to move off a military base into a mansion. Do they get to pick whatever big bedroom they want in that mansion? No, I don't think they have a right for that. Sorry, buddy. That was a good catch. All right, this person's ready for trial. Let's head on over there and check how things are going. Boom, they're over at trial. Am I going to get any other clients? It is just the first day. I've only just opened up. I might not have all the clients. Oh, we won the case because I aligned it correctly. And then over time, we start to learn about new rights and new skills, and we get to map those in. So now I've also learned about freedom of assembly, and the game continues, blah, 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 blah. When a student finishes, it will give them all the information on the badges that they've earned as well as more. I'm going to go ahead and close that out because it does give you a basic gist of how that works. I'm going to hop into another game, and then I'm going to share my screen for that. I'm going to share right now a game in, I can go ahead, there are missions across various areas. Basically how this works is in all these categories, Crown or Colony, obviously that's the Revolution, this Up from the Dust is the Dust Bowl, and so on and so forth. Each covers a different era, and these games were actually created by real historians. Let's go ahead and play. Now, if you've linked this, your students can have accounts already set up. I'm just going to play it online real quick. Here we are. So inside of here, you can create Go Play games and assign individual games to students. You can build a playlist of particular games. This Awakening is a whole different homework and test prep session for students, or you can just send them on targeted free play. I'm going to show you what building a playlist for students looks like. So let's go ahead and focus on science for now. Oops. Well, I clicked elementary, so we're just going to stick with it. And we're going to look at biogeology. Find some quick games for it. Now, what's really nice, not all games, like I said, chocolate covered broccoli paradox, not all games are equal. And you can check here with the teacher and student ratings. I am sharing these games now, but there are a whole bunch more on the other ones, simple games like Starfall games and some other ones too that you can use with younger learners. But I want to focus on these heavily because they have so many options available. So if I like this, I can add that one to the playlist. Maybe I've checked this one out and like the ratings on that, I can add that. And maybe I also want to add a little quick assessment for students with a certain number of questions in between when they get to their next game. I can go ahead and assign that playlist to, which class do I want to assign it to? Let's assign it to that classroom. There we go. Do I also want to assign it in Google Classroom? It'll link me to it. I can. I think you guys get how that process works. I'm not going to walk you through that. Do I want it to go to all my classes or just one? There we go. And that's a simple method for creating assignments and playlists for students inside of here across a broad range of games. Now, I'm going to go ahead and show you really quickly what some of those games look like. For this one, I actually do want to go with math, and we're going to go with 8th grade math. And I want to go with, where was it at? Here it is. Square and cube roots. Sweet. So Galactic Math Adventure. You know, it's a solid game. I'm going to go ahead and just try it out for myself, which is always a good idea before you send it out to students. Go ahead and try it and play it. Now, for those of you looking for other specific games across the, obviously I don't have time today to go through all of these, but if you will look on the agenda, I have them broken down heavily by games across subject area. I also have linked to other guides that I've created that have way, way more. This is giving me my instructions. We're going to skip through that. Let's assume that I know my math skills. Now that's a flame ship. I can see that that's not effective against shields, and my missiles aren't really going to work on that really well. So I'm going to choose something else. I'm going to go ahead and choose this weapon. This is just giving me instructions on how square roots work. What is the square root of 64? I think that it's 8. All right, let's try another weapon. I'm going to get this one wrong on purpose. I promise I know the square root of 9. Well, let's go ahead and put 9 and see what happens. Ow, took a hit. Let's try that again. Square root of 81. Ooh. Oh no, I got it wrong again. What's happened? But here we go. That's my gun. Actually, I got that one right. Sorry. Let's choose this one. Square root of 64 is what? This also equal to the square root of what number squared? 8. Finish off this ship. We'll jump into the next level quickly, and it'll take me into some more complex problems. So if I forgot what's good against shields, I can go in here and say, oh, don't use those. So let's go ahead and use those missiles. Now it's giving me more information. Square root of 36. Continue. And it'll take the students through the various levels of this game. One more, and then I'm going to hop out of here. But you can take your time and explore what games work for your kids, or simply look at the rating systems if you don't want to spend all day figuring out what games are good. Trust the teachers and the students to tell you that. That's why I like that whole rating they got in there. And you decide which ones are more important to each of you. I was about to go to the next level. Are the teachers' ratings of what learning it offers most important? Are the student ratings? But you will notice that every single game is aligned to specific curriculum standards up here at the top, all right? So you can align each and every one of your games with curriculum standards that you choose. Okay? I want to show you one other game, because we are here, and I think you guys will like it. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on BrainPOP, but I did share with you that it is a hub for all sorts of learning. So if you do want, this is the place where you'd go for free access. I've linked to that, but don't just go ahead and access. Choose the free school access for yours. I'm going to go ahead and log in with my account, though, because, hey, District 75 folks, you all have free accounts to BrainPOP already. Set up an individual account, though. If you don't, please send me that information. I'll give you your code to set up your school's individual account, because it gives you access to so much more. I'm just going to explore pollination here, although Gray Stopper is really awesome. Yes, it gives me all these other things I can do in BrainPOP. I'm not worried about all those right now. That's a whole different session. You can look at it. Here's some playful assessment games. Meaning a beep is a particular one on BrainPOP that is a vocabulary game. And you're trying to find the meaning of a word. Of course, if you're synced in, and this also can be synced with Google Classroom, or you set up your own individual classes. Let's go ahead and just start the game. Boom. The category is honeybees, but it could be related to whatever topic we're looking at. Tim had a list of blank to complete before he could hang out with his friends. I don't know, work? Sounds about right. All right. Let's see what everybody else submitted. My peers, here they're just digital peers. Responsibility, ooh, that's probably a better word, responsibility. And yes, it'll read it to us if we can't read it ourselves. Let's pick that one. Responsibility sounds good. Now they give us the same one that's looking for the same word, but in a different context. Cleaning the kitchen after dinner is one of the blank I have to do to help around the house. Well, maybe responsibilities works for that too, but I'm going to click chores and see how that works. All right. Labors, duties, duty. Oh, duty sounds good. I'm going to pick that one. And each bee in a colony has a specific set of, oh, I like tasks for this one. Maybe tasks would have worked for all the rest too. So I like mine better than everybody else's. Tasks, I'm gonna stick with it. And now the scores come in for round one. Boom, synonyms. Oh, tasks was the word. I finally did get it. Good for me. I promise I didn't cheat and learn it in advance. So they don't like work for tasks. They didn't count it a point there. But my other picks, getting points for all those. Good job. Seeing my standings. Where do I stand? Currently in first. What's great about these games in BrainPOP is there's this little camera zone here where students are able to document and metacognitively reflect on it, if your students are capable, of how they did. I got the word at the end. Of course, if you have speech to text enabled on the student's device, they can use that too. Just to show you what other kinds of things are available, I just typed in math, broad range of math games. Oops. Yeah, go ahead. Here we go. Oh, look, these are not even BrainPOP games. Addition blocks, area builder. These are ones linked outside. Lost at the Forever Mind, fun. Tons of other ones, but the ones that are BrainPOP games are games like Sortify, where it's a sorting game for categories for students. Meaning of Beep, which is, you know, that vocabulary game I showed you. And then Time Zone X. They have a few other games too, one-offs. And this is just creating a timeline of historical events across all these topics. Those three categories of games pretty much exist for every video you may be using on BrainPOP. For the sake of time, I am going to pop on over to a couple of other games, and then I promise I'll head on back and show you the Mission US if I get a chance. I just want to clarify, these are ones I went over in my assessment training, so I'm not going to spend tons of time on these. But gamifying your assessment, you guys are probably super familiar with Kahoots, but while there is a student assignment feature that you can do remotely for students, it's more made for doing stuff synchronously in a classroom. Quizizz, though, is set up to work very, very well asynchronously. So I am going to show you a little bit of that. Also, Quizizz links very, very well with something like Google Classroom, and Quizizz allows some ease of setup for questions. So I want to hop into that one. It's spelled Quizizz.com, although students don't have to type that to get there or to join it, which is nice. I will say if they have the app version of it, it can automatically read all the questions to the students if they're not a reader. But if they are a reader or non-reader also, it can allow them for image responses too, which Kahoot does not allow for. So I'm actually going to start one and have us play it really quickly. And I want to go ahead and have us play the easiest quiz of all time. Let's go ahead and play it live. I'm going to host this game and show you how it works for you, the remote learners. You can go ahead and get that joinquiz.com, which I'm typing in the chat. So you should be able to click on that link. I'm going to try it again with the HTTP. Boom, there you go. And you should be able to get there. Go ahead and type in that code. Of course, it does allow us to share it. If you're working with students who are only using cell phones and only able to chat in, you can go ahead and send it via Remind. If you're a Google Classroom or Teams person or any of these other things, you can share that information out with them too. I'm going to copy that direct link so that way you don't even have to type in the code for anybody who hasn't hit it yet. That's now in the chat. And now I'm just waiting for a few of you to join in. It's not necessary for all of you, but go ahead if you have a chance. If you have another tab open, if you're on a device that allows for it. Oh, welcome, Steph. And I'm going to take you through this quiz, which is called the easiest quiz of all time. But let's see if that holds true, shall we? All right, I'm going to wait one more moment. I will say, as a caveat, this game involves what are known as certain thought paradoxes, or what's also known as the Mandela effect. If you're not familiar with the Mandela effect, you're going to see about it soon, but it essentially references how Nelson Mandela, whose real name isn't even Nelson Mandela, that's only what he was known pretty much to his captors and then the country, was thought to have died, but he really hadn't, but everybody believed it just to be locally true. Okay, that number is 930-720. It is in the chat. If you want to join as we're getting started, it's fine, but for the sake of time, I want to forge ahead. You can join in the middle of it. It should still work. Just so you get how this works, I'm going to join another window as a student so you can see what a student's responses look like, and then I'm going to pop up the student version up on my screen.
Sean, just a quick question.
Yep.
How many screens are you using at any given time during these?
Say that one more time.
How many screens are you using at any given time during
How many
these?
screens am I using at a given time? A lot. A lot. The number of devices I have sitting in front of me is vast. But I have to reset some of them occasionally. All right. Sean. And now I'm going to share my student level screen. So you can see, if you weren't able to join, what it looks like for the student. All right. Oh, I'm not answering. How long did the 100 years war last? Oh, well, if I'm not, no, that's wrong. It's actually 116. Oops. These questions are all or nothing. Ha, 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 ha. What is the color of the black box?
Sean, we're just seeing you in the Simpson house.
What? Give me a second. Oh, sorry. You can't see that yet.
There you go.
Now you can see it. There you go. Oh, man, that's not fair. I didn't mean to move into late. What country makes Panama hats?
Brazil.
Ecuador, actually.
I can't see a link to the live game.
It should be in the chat, but I'm going to stop sharing the student screen because I think you get how this works. for students and for those of you still playing, getting to see it. And I'm going to share my regular teacher screen back up here. There you go. And open that up. Open that up. Let me paste that link again in there. Although I'm going to stop this game in just a second because I want to show you what you get when it's finished. Of course, maybe it's not the easiest quiz in the world because right now we're only at 17% accuracy. So I'm going to stop it. Sorry if you're super engaged. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ooh, some shifting at the top. There we go. End the game. Charles was on fire there at the end. Let us know who was at the top. One of the things I like about Quizizz specifically in comparison to, say, Kahoot, is that it doesn't focus on, it focuses on accuracy much more over speed. I can go ahead and share this out, email this information to all my parents. I can go question by question. For example, finish the iconic line of the film quote. It's not Luke, I am your father. It's no, I am your father, because he asks him, you killed my father. No, I am your father, right? So that's that Mandela effect. We all think we know the right answers, etc., but we don't. Quizizz is neat, though. I'm going to show you how to make one of those games very, very quickly. Yes, there's tons of them pre-made. I will say Kahoot probably has a fair amount more. And I'm sorry that I stopped you in the middle of a winning streak, Charles. But if I want to make one from scratch, I can just go ahead and create a new quiz. We're going to call this quiz, I don't know, we're going to make it math and early childhood math. And I can start a new question. What shape is this? Or identify this shape. Now, what's great is that I can go ahead and make that question an image for my students who are struggling readers. So if I want to go ahead and just Google the word circle, and I don't know why I always do shapes, circles and squares, but this is just my nature, and go ahead and copy the link address to that picture. I don't even have to download it. Drag it in here. There you go. Now those links are working. And then on these answers, if I want to have various shapes, if kids don't recognize those words, I can go ahead and add in the links for those as well. Just go ahead and find a square I like and copy that image address, add on that, continue. So here's one thing. You can either have text or you can have an image. Can't have both. If you want text on your image, then I recommend dragging it to your desktop and literally just using a software, document software or something to paste text onto that image. All right. So those are our answers. I can add more or not. I can extend the time limit if, for example, I thought 30 seconds was not enough time for my kids, all the way up to 15 minutes per question. Of course, that does give them the option to just Google whatever the answer is. Oh, I forgot. I got to pick what the right answer is. There we go. But that's a lot of work. It would seem like I'm just going to hit teleport and find other people who've already done this stuff. Click shapes. Let's see. Oh, look, they've already got these questions. I like that one. Let's go to this other person's quiz. Oh, let's go ahead and add that question to my quiz. Let's add that one. Let's add that one. So I don't just have to take whole quizzes. I can take individual questions that I want to use. If I want to adjust it because my students can't use these text responses, then I can go in after the fact and edit each one of those. So it's a quick and easy way for you to go ahead and create a sort of brief gamified assessment piece for your students. When you're done, just click finish. All right? So that's a little overview of some of this gamified assessment. There are a whole bunch of more platforms. Smart Lab.
How do you share it with this?
Oh, how do you share it? Okay, let me go ahead and show that.
Yeah, how do you share
I finished the quiz. I go ahead and put all this information that I want, It's going to make me choose this. Sweet, save. When I'm ready to share it with a student, yes, I can enter their email addresses there and share. I can copy a URL link. But this kind of sharing that you just saw right there is not how you want to share it with students, because that's for sharing if you're collaborating with another teacher. If I'm assigning it to a student, there are two ways. One is that Play Live, which you guys were doing with me, but I don't recommend that for now. I
if I was
highly
going to
recommend
assign it with a group of like
asynchronous
teachers
learning.
or students.
Yeah, so you can assign it as homework. You can host that game. I can assign it to specific classes. So these are my actual Google classes. And I can give it a name for my students. Shapes. And click assign, give it a due date. And there, it suddenly linked it to Google Classroom. Just like that. And that's an asynchronous assignment. So that'll give students any moment up to that time to go ahead and go into that game and up to the deadline and finish it. They don't have to do it live with me. So that was actually a really great question that I should have gone over earlier. A lot of these others allow for the same things as well. Some asynchronous ones. So does Kahoot right now too. I do want to go into one other piece though. And that's when you get into a fully gamified classroom. Time I've got Classcraft is essentially an engagement management system. Yes, it deals with behavior management. Yes, it deals with structure, but it is also this assessment piece, taking students on a journey, on an adventure. It is entirely linked with Google Classroom, so much so that Classcraft is the only certified Google partner that doesn't make Chromebooks. So for companies that make Chromebooks, there's a few of those that are certified partners. They're the only software company that is a certified Google partner. That's how like cool keyed up they are with it. But it basically turns your classroom into a game itself. Students get badges. They get experience points for completing their work. So regular points. All the grades you do in your classroom are, yes, synced inside Google Classroom, but it does sync with your students leveling up and gaining powers within the game. Those powers are linked to privileges. And it also has a whole toolkit inside there. Obviously, the volume meter doesn't matter to you at all right now, but different classroom management tools, including live assessment pieces, and their Quest feature for personalized learning. So this is basically taking students on a journey, and I'll walk us through it really quickly, but it's a quest that we're discovering, and each of these is obviously simply an assignment. But if we're getting it right, maybe we can move on. If we need remediation, that can lead to another pathway. And it's just turning all the basic skills of a classroom into a much more engaging place. I'm going to go ahead and head into my, I know the tutorial, my demo class. Here it is for students. Any work we're doing, yes, in regular class, I can do it for behavior management. There's tons of tutorial videos to walk you further through. I can be recording kids for being positive and hardworking. As they learn certain things, they gain these extra powers and we can adjust and make these powers exactly what we want them to be, especially specific to remote learning. For example, get sent a bonus check or assignment for something. And when something's not going right, if it's, let's say we were doing a Google Meet session and they were being a little disruptive, wait, they fell in battle, and there are consequences for that. And we can set those consequences later. You have full control. It actually makes it very easy to set up, especially if you've already done Google Classroom. It basically gives you a few suggestions on behavior prompts, on work prompts for your students. But inside of this class tool sections, we have all these things for formative reviews, timers, etc. Shrine of the Ancients, which is like badging and kudos, and a grade converter for turning your grades into points. Here's quests, though, where it gets really interesting. So if you want something specific to literature assignments that you've already been doing and you want to gamify it, I can go to these characters in literature. This is one I've already set up. We've got an overview. Here's our story, and story is huge in games. Story is huge in creating a sense of it. We can add all sorts of fun images and pictures, and I'll show you a way in a moment. You don't have to do any of this stuff from scratch. You can simply go ahead and add, yes, stories, overview of the process. What is the task for the students? Well, read chapter 7 to 10 of the Lightning Thief, create a chart comparing, and then they submit the chart here or in Google Classroom, and they get full-on credit. But it does make it that story. If they don't do it, again, I can adjust the settings to allow the students to do it all self-paced, and they decide when they're completed, or do I want to check and make sure it's done and make sure that it's completed satisfactorily before I check the box to allow them to go on. I'm going to hop back out of this story for a moment into the large overview. Making each one of those new zones, you simply click your objective at the top, put it anywhere you want it to be. You can link it to a task you're creating now or Google Classroom assignment you already had. We're going to say read, or actually we're just going to call it the web. I'm going to make it a task, and maybe I write a whole fanciful story about web weaving and spiders, but really my goal is I want them to read Charlotte's Web, C-Web, just for the sake of expediency, and read it and give them instructions on the other details I want them to send. In that assignment, I'll enable that, give them whatever rewards I want them to have for handing it in. If they hand it in early, maybe they get even a bonus. Cool. Discussion. Do I want to allow students to chat here, or is that going to be too disruptive about it? And this is that self-paced progress. So if I don't check that box, what it does give me the option to do is I draw with this little connect objectives line, pathways here. Suddenly this appears. So they can only get here if I gave them permission after mysterious staircase. But maybe this is a remediated area. Maybe this book that I was asking them about here, The Lightning Thief, was too difficult for these students. So if they get that correct, they can continue on towards the underground lake. But, and I'm going to zoom in so you see these tiny, tiny little X's and green check marks. Those give you the ability, if they get it wrong, they come over here. And maybe once they finally get that one right, maybe now they can get back in to the underground lake. And this student doesn't know that I've been giving them extra work or remediated work because they didn't meet the objectives that I had set. They simply know, oh, look, I got an extra bonus quest that you guys didn't get. I'm cooler than you. So I'm going to close that. Here's what's neat. They do have a whole section. If we go back, you can search for your library, but there are all tons of resources, including a place called the Marketplace. Just because it's called the Marketplace don't think it costs money, because everything on Classcraft is essentially free right now. But these are quests that people have already made across a broad range of categories and areas. So if you're teaching computer science or teaching French or English language arts, which several people have talked about, English is a second language, let's look at some of those pre-made quests. Design, didn't mean to click on that. So here's several already of pre-made quests. Give some examples of grade levels that it's for. You can decide. Drew Hutchinson also has a ton of really cool ones, the essential questions. You can suddenly just click on one of those, import that quest, not have to do any of the extra work. You've already got a story. You've already got the interesting things, and go ahead and add it to whatever quest you want to send it to. Cool? And then give it a new class name, that quest. Go ahead and import it, and it's all there. And you can import every single Google Classroom objective. You can go ahead and modify it to your heart's content, but that's already available there. Makes it easy for you to continue to create and fully gamify your classroom. It gives you a ton of data and analytics on all your students' progress and everything that they're achieving that you can share with parents. It's totally aligned with the CASEL standards. And it does align with a lot of PBIS implementations, all right? If you're looking for music games, I've got some in there. I'll try to post more. You can send me private messages about individual games. I did provide a whole bunch of resources in that agenda, but I do want to leave a little bit of time for questions. Here again is that bit.ly link that I'll paste once again in the chat. That has all these guides, further training, links to getting passwords for these things, also information on how to get in touch with me or anything like that. So if there are any questions right now, I will take them if somebody wants to unmute their microphone to ask. All right. I hope everybody has a great day, and I hope this was worthwhile for you. It has been recorded, so it will be available if you missed a few things. And other than that, take care, everybody, and take time for your mental health and well-being.
Thanks, Sean.